Hi, my name is Travis Boss. My student number is 11320826, and today I will be talking about the point of view of violence in video games. Playing violent video games does not lead to emotional desensitization and increased aggression in video game players. The relevance of violence to the video game industry is a large one, as it has warped many people's perception of video games, with people thinking they're just violent and gory. This perception, in turn, may lead to less sales and a narrower audience as people won't understand what video games are really about. Violent video games are often synonymous with people in people's minds, with increasing the player's aggression, yet this is most often not the case, as has been seen in the journal paper The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, a meta-analytic review of positive and negative effects of violent video games. When the study was conducted, the negative effects were researched more heavily, yet when it came to the results, it was found that does not appear to be associated with negative effects in relation to aggressive behavior. Ferguson 2007. While there were no negative effects found, it was found that positive ones do come out of playing video games, and that's an increase in visuospatial cognition. Ferguson 2007. Call of Duty is a prime example of how a violent first-person shooter game has a positive effect on the player, with this journal article by Jory Deleuze concluding that online FPS gamers displayed decreased mean reaction times. People often have the perception that violent video games are violent just for the sake of being violent, yet in many cases this is furthest from the truth. Most violent video games show the consequences that come with violent actions that you, the player, do within the game, often teaching the player that consequences come with these violent actions. The best example of a game that shows this is Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. It was one of the most revolutionary games that came out at the time, with features such as targeted damage on Snake's body parts and the camouflage system to blend into the environment. Though these are really great systems, the biggest and most influential is the ability to beat the entire game's story, not killing a single enemy, even including bosses. While this is possible, it is a lot harder for the player to get through the story, and the average player wouldn't do it. This feature culminates in the Sorrow boss fight, where Snake is walking up a river and the ghosts of enemies you killed will start attacking you, showing the damage that is caused with violent actions. There are other examples, such as attacking a cuckoo in The Legend of Zelda makes a flock of them spawn in and kill the player, showing that consequences come with these actions. Showing consequences such as these teaches the player that bad things will come with violent actions. First-person online shooters such as Call of Duty and Rainbow Six Siege are often used by politicians and anti-video game activists to say that they teach children violent behavior, even stretching it out enough to say they are the cause of school shootings. Yet, one thing in all these violent video games that may actually cause more aggression is the competitive aspect of the games. As a recent study by Hawke has found that this is indeed may be the case. The results found that it didn't matter whether or not the player won, it was whether they competed in the first place, with the competitors having higher levels of aggression than non-competitors. Hawke and Ridge 2021. Though the games may be violent, everyone remembers playing Halo Capture the Flag with their friend, and the aggression came from the competitiveness, not the violence of the game itself. Violent video games are often used as an escape for the player, yet people's real-world problems don't just go away by playing these video games. While certain people in the public may think that violent video games lead to emotional desensitization and increased aggression, this is not the case, as players can discern between video game and reality. A PBS article from 2019 showed that as far back as 2011, the US Supreme Court ruled that research did not find a clear connection between violent video games and aggressive behavior. Christopher J. Ferguson, 2019. Christopher then goes on to talk about how it was found that video games affect the user as much as any other type of media. This shows that the player is able to tell what they are playing, be it a violent game such as Devil May Cry 5 or NBA 2K, isn't actually real, as you can't kill demons with combos and you're not in the NBA league. Though I have given 4 points to why video games do not lead to emotional desensitization and increased aggression, if a child who is still developing their brains play these violent video games, the effects could be bad on them. While people believe that children playing violent video games leads them to being violent, then with the gaming industry being a massive industry, the figures would suggest a parallel trend in youth violence, wouldn't it? Instead, youth violence has been decreasing. Vastag 2004. The other debunking of this argument is that most violent video games are not made for children. To begin with, that's why the ratings boards exists all around the world. The conversation should be changed from "it has bad effects on children" to "parents should be moderating what their children play," as letting a child play The Last of Us Part 2 is not going to be good for them. Studies assessing how well parents understand the rating system to ensure it is serving its purpose is lacking. Duffy and Dirksen. This statement right here sums up the entire problem that causes this negative point of view, with parents not wanting to do the duties to protect their children, then blaming it on the medium instead. Thank you for listening.